Welcome to the Middle Mike channel. On Monday, I took my daughter to the Auschwitz Not Long Ago, Not Far Away exhibit that is currently at Union Station in Kansas City, Missouri. While I would like her to be a little older, this is a temporary exhibit, and I felt that it's important that she learn about what happened there. I regret that I wasn't able to take the two boys, but they're definitely too young, and my daughter is likely very borderline at the age of 8, although she did ask pertinent questions. She isn't much younger than I was when Herman Wouk's War and Remembrance aired on network television, and I still remember how some of the graphic Auschwitz scenes stuck with me. As far as I know, the scene where Aaron Jastrow is sent to the gas chambers at Auschwitz and subsequent cremation is one of the most graphic presentations of what happened during this horrible chapter in human history. I remember that really sticking with me as I went to bed that night. I remembered, and it's part of my duty as a parent to pass it on to the next generation, so that this is never repeated, especially since it seems that the world is spiraling towards totalitarianism in the countries that are supposedly free. So this exhibit presented an excellent teaching opportunity. The exhibit is well laid out, starting with Versailles, Hitler's rise, and going over the initial persecution of political dissidents, the disabled, the Roma, homosexuals, immigrants, and of course Jewish people. It continued with how the persecution turned into the Holocaust. It then went over the camp system, focusing on Auschwitz from the origins of the camp in Auschwitz to its expansion, to the gas chambers and ovens, and through Himmler's orders to destroy the camp and hide the evidence as the Red Army approached. There were several artifacts, as well as stories of survivors throughout the presentation. My daughter and I used the audio provided. It is recommended for 12 and up, although I figured she was mature enough to handle what was presented, even though she'd be in 3rd grade if we weren't homeschooling. The audio presentation takes you through the exhibit in around 2.5 hours, although there were people who were there for much longer if you choose to read every caption with the pictures. If I were by myself, I might have stayed longer, but you still get pretty much the whole thing with just the audio. Since we quote-unquote pre-gamed the night before with watching the Sabaton history on the Warsaw Uprising, since August 1st is the anniversary of the start, and Witold Pilecki, she recognized him in the small display about him, while there were some names of others I plan on trying to find books on. My only small complaints: you have to walk through a metal detector to enter. Normally this is a hard no for me, but this exhibit was a rare non-work exception. As hard-hitting and solemn as the exhibit was, and the fact that I was pleasantly surprised that there was no revisionist history, I will say the display almost felt watered down. Between War and Remembrance, as I mentioned earlier, and a high school history teacher who wanted to hit the point home, it was a graphic presentation that left the mark. Still, this exhibit is an absolute must if you're within reasonable travel distance to it, as it keeps the Holocaust fresh in our collective memory and won't fade into obscurity like the horrors of the Armenian Genocide or Belgian King Leopold in the Congo. If you do travel to see the exhibit, you should also check out the National World War I Museum at Liberty Memorial, which is very nearby. Since this is a bit of a different video, I won't do my normal sign-off with the exception of saying thank you for watching, and as always, have a great day.